Thursday, Lombardi Line VSIN equals Mike Palm's pressing 3. Let's do this. Mike Palm, of course, VSIN host and bon vivant there, circa. I'm going to get out of the way. What's number 1?
Michael, did you get a chance to watch Michigan, Ohio State? I'm going to ask you to put your GM scouting hat on. Watching the game, I noticed that CJ Stroud would never take off and run, even with gaping lanes, nor did Ryan Day ever call one single designated running play for him. So I decided to take a look at his stats. He has 102 yards rushing in 2 seasons as a starter at 1.5 yards per carry. By comparison, Patrick Mahomes, hardly thought of as a running quarterback or the quarterback of a 6-back offense, has run for 300-plus yards in each of the last 2 years and will likely top 400 yards this year. My question is this. With draft season and draft betting season approaching, is Stroud an unwilling or incapable runner, and can you be either in today's new NFL? Look at Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson, etc., and regardless of the answer, is he even more viable than Justin Fields, also from Ohio State, as an NFL quarterback? Stroud is about to be a top 3 or even a top draft pick. It feels like a fired GM and coach in waiting for whoever takes him. Or am I just crazy?
I think a couple things here. You know, at halftime of the Michigan game, Ryan Day talked about how he was impressed with his team toughness. I don't even think Ryan Day understands the first thing about toughness. And I don't think Ryan Day understands how to make his team tougher. And I think a lot of this is either the coaching it or allowing it to happen. I think Stroud is really accurate. But I agree. I think there's times you have to make plays with your feet. And somebody's got to coach him on it. Like, if you're going to play Tampa 2, if you're going to play cover 2 tonight, if Belichick decides to play 2 deep man under, Josh Allen's going to take off. He's going to run, and it's going to be for 20 yards. So that defense gets eliminated. So, to me, there's a disconnect between the head coach and the offensive coordinator of Ohio State to Stroud. Like, CJ, we got to run him out of this coverage, or you're going to have to move and make a first down. Like, I want to go into every game I play, I want the quarterback to get at least 2 first downs with his feet. It takes the pressure off everybody. It takes it off everybody. You got to get 2 first downs somehow, some way, because it slows down the rush. It slows down the coverages. They don't get the chance to play to cover a 2 deep man under. They don't get to play all this 1 under. They don't have to spy you. They don't have to put somebody in the box. To me, I think it's coaching malpractice, Mike.
I don't want Bryce Young. I don't want Will Levis. Hendon Hooker's injured, and he's 25 years old. I guess that leaves, by elimination, CJ Stroud, Mike Palm?
Yeah, it's tough here with this quarterback crop because there's a hole in every one of them. I don't know. The kid at Mississippi State at times is impressive to me. I think he's a bit underrated.
He is. I mean, I think he can throw the ball with timing, too. You know, I think that's what we're looking for, is somebody to throw it with timing. And to me, my point about Ohio State and toughness is Ryan Day's done nothing to make the team. All he's done is talk about toughness. He hasn't made his team tougher. And that goes to the quarterback. You got to demand he run. Hey, you got to take off here. It's a little bit like, hey, the Raiders run toss crack last week, right? They run toss crack on 4th down. Horrible play. The A-gaps were open. If they sneak the ball, they get the first down. They don't lose that possession. You got to make those plays. Those can't get ignored.
Hot start. Number 2, Palm's pressing 3.
Should 2 coaches who are probably in most people's top 5 and certainly in everyone's top 10 be nervous about their job security? The Ravens have blown more inexplicable games just this season than more coaches are afforded the luxury of in their careers. And if they stall early in the playoffs again, is Harbaugh on the hot seat? And the second coach is Sean McDermott. Between last year's Chiefs debacle, this year's Vikings debacle, and their record in 1-score games, are these 2 acclaimed coaches on a hot seat, and should they be?
Well, I think a couple things. So first is, if you're going to get rid of Harbaugh, who's better than him? And that answer, to me, I don't know where you find that answer. I think, to me, if they just stumble again, I think you got to look at Greg Roman, the pride of Ventnor, New Jersey, Holy Spirit High School, your friend. I think Greg Roman is up for the Stanford job. Can he get that? I don't know. I don't know if he can. I know he's trying. I know they're interested by Stanford. Stanford's not the same program it once was, but he's got ties to Harbaugh, and that Stanford community loves Harbaugh. So he may have a chance. But I don't think you're going to be able to get a better coach than Harbaugh, but I think you got to get a better coach than what they're doing offensively. I think their offense stinks, and I've said it for 4 years. I think it's ridiculous. They can't throw the ball. They do nothing to help the quarterback throw the ball in the middle of the field. So for me, my solution wouldn't be replace the leader. I would replace some of the management team. As it goes to McDermott, I think, to me, McDermott's done a great job of building this team. You're going to have a hard conversation and say, how are we going to get over the hump? Do you need help in game management? Who's part of your staff? I think this offense has gotten away from a little bit. I think the change from Daboll to Dorsey hasn't been as seamless as everybody seems to think it is. They don't have any continuity, and I don't recognize what they are. And a lot of that comes back to what's McDermott tolerating. And his end-of-the-game management has to be something to be considered. And I think, to me, you're better off trying to enhance that than fire him and find somebody else.
For what it's worth, Bond is a Bills fan, Mike Palm, and he said McDermott should be on the hot seat. Go ahead, Mike.
Here's a little bit of a corollary to this question in the first part of it. Michael, if you're the GM of the Ravens, what is your reaction to Lamar Jackson's profane-laced response to a Twitter criticism of his play? Does somebody need to sit down and talk to him about it, or do you just let it go?
No, I think, to me, he's probably the same way I am. I think Lamar thinks he's in the wrong offense. I think if you study Lamar's history as a player, he was better under center than he is in shotgun. I think they're misusing Lamar. I think he throws the ball in the middle of the field between the hash marks. They don't have an inside receiver other than Mark Andrews, who he gets the ball all the time. They don't have another one. They keep signing little guys on the outside. He doesn't throw the ball on the outside well. When he played for Bobby Petrino, one of the first plays of the game always would be a post, and he would hit the guy in the face mask. He's accurate in the middle of the field. He's not accurate on the sideline. I think they've done a bad job of designing an offense that fits his skill set. They're so caught up in the run, the misdirection. They're not doing what he does. But just think about this. I was thinking about this. I made a note about it. Could you imagine if Lamar was running, the offense that utilized that skill set? I mean, could you imagine if he was running bootlegs and nakeds and doing all that stuff? He would be so deadly.
Number 3, Mike Palm.
Michael, do you think Zach Wilson ultimately got benched for his play, or was it for his words and attitude? If you were running the Jets, how would you handle their quarterback situation? You can't admit defeat on the guy you drafted number 2 overall, can you? Isn't that a permanent stain on your resume? But you can't risk losing the team over Wilson either. Is Joe Douglas secretly hoping that Mike White craps out? And whose call is it in a situation like this? Is Salah just doing what Douglas tells him? How would you handle this whole situation, Michael?
Great question.
I think you got to call. You got to call Zach Thomas and his agent into your office, and you got to have a heart-to-heart, man-to-man, because this is on him. This is as much on him. Now, I mean, granted, Mike LaFleur did nothing to really help him, and part of that is because he doesn't want him to hurt him. But Zach was a better player at BYU than he's been in any game for the Jets. I mean, Zach was a better player there. I think a lot of this has to do with maturity. It has a lot to do with accepting it. And he's spoiled. And we're going to have to de-recruit him. And we're going to have to try to find a way to get to him. Because we got to salvage this. We put a second-round pick into this. Mike White's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Are we going to sign Mike White and dump Zach Thomas? I doubt that. But we're not going to keep going with Flacco. So Mike White's going to go. If Mike White plays good for the rest of the year, Mike White's going to get a contract and go somewhere else. He could go to the Houston Texans and end up being a starter. He could be the Trent Green of this free agent draft class. I don't know if he can do that. But I think you got to solve it, and it starts with having a man-to-man conversation with the quarterback and not be passive-aggressive and look him in the eye and say, here's your problem. You got to own it. We got to count on you. We paid you a lot of money. We got to count on you. As Todd Bowles told his team, you guys played this game in high school for free. This ain't a job.
I love that question so much from Palm. I'm going to carry that over to tomorrow's show. The front office implications part is fascinating. Palm, you've gone to 4 at Circa tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to, when you carry it over tomorrow, also pose this to Michael. Are the Jets a Jimmy Garoppolo away from being in the AFC Finals?
There you go.
They might be. They might be.
Michael, it's 4 tonight.
And I think that's Trent Brown. I think this is Trent Brown related. The offensive line, or they got the number down low enough that they wanted to buy it back. I like the Bills at 4.
Great job, Mike Palm. We appreciate your effort. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Big Bets
Thanks,
coming
Mike
up
Palm. You're the
next.
best.
Mike, we'll see you tomorrow.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.